Coming up on Sports Paws, the women's basketball team had their rematch against the Fairfield Stags, looking to stay undefeated and atop the MAAC standings.
And the women's ice hockey team had their last home regular season weekend of the year with matchups against Brown and Yale.
Plus, the men's basketball team had two tough conference tests on the road at Siena and Sunday's matchup against Merrimack.
All that and more coming up on Sports Paws, starting right now. Welcome into this week's episode of Sports Paws. I'm Anthony Davila.
And I'm Nick Olsen. A lot of Quinnipiac sports this past week, so let's get right into it. The women's basketball team hosted the Siena Saints, looking to keep their perfect MAAC record alive, and they would, as they take this one by a final score of 62-40. Ella O'Donnell led the way for Quinnipiac with 14 points and 9 rebounds. Sydney Ryan would go 2 for 3 from behind the arc and finish the game with 7 points. Center Anna Foley dropped 11 points in the win while also adding 4 rebounds and reached 1,000 career points with the Bobcats. Although the Bobcats captured the win, Q30's Matt Flaherty has a stat that many may have not caught on to.
Paige Girardi leads the entire NCAA in an unknown yet very important stat, assist to turnover ratio. Not only does Girardi lead the entire NCAA, but it is not even close. Her ratio of 4.88 is over half a point higher than the second place Rory Harmon. This means that for every turnover, she gets 4.88 assists.
It's an honor, obviously. I think it's more of a stat for our team. I think they make my job really easy, and they're the ones making the shots.
Though Girardi credits her teammates, her team is ranked 7th in the country in assist-to-turnover ratio, and she is the biggest reason why. Here's what Girardi's dad, Russ, had to say about his daughter's success. It's nice to see her in first in such a critical and special statistic. If you look at some of the other names on the list, there are some great players at some great schools, and it's nice to see Paige up there with Quinnipiac. End quote. In Coach Fabry's 31 years of coaching the Bobcats, she says the assist-to-turnover ratio statistic is the biggest thing to dominate each and every game.
It's always been a part of our formula for success.
Being confident in our ability as a unit to handle the ball and handle other teams' pressure just gives us that advantage going into MAAC tournament play as the end of the season closes out.
That's teams that are built for championships.
With only 4 games left in the regular season, Paige Girardi will look to continue to lead her team in that stat category going into the MAAC tournament. For Q30 Sports, I'm Matt Flaherty.
The women's basketball team hosted the Fairfield Stags in a potential MAAC championship matchup this weekend. Two in-state rivals facing off in the biggest matchup in the MAAC season so far. Into the first quarter, the Bobcats got off to a good start in this one as Ella Ryan takes a step-back 3. She's going to make it. It's going to be 11-5 Bobcats. Now, 2 minutes left into the first. Jackie Grisdale off the inbound. She's going to beat the shot clock, making it 13-7 Bobcats. Anna Foley, pressured by the defense down low, takes it and makes the fadeaway shot. Bobcats lead 15-10 at the end of the first. Now into the second quarter, Janelle Brown gets around Ella Ryan, and she's going to make the layup. Quinnipiac only leads by 1. Jillian Herder hits the 3, and it continues the Stags' 9-2 run. Quinnipiac up by 4 at the half. Now into the third, Cayenne Coe drives to the paint and gets the layup. Stags lead 30-26. Then Megan Anderson finds Sydney Scott for the corner 3, and she's going to drain it. Now it's 33-28 Fairfield. Bobcats need a response, and Sydney Ryan does just that, knocking down the 3. Stags still up 35-34. But she's not done just yet as she takes and makes her second straight 3 to put the Cats within 1. Stags now lead 51-47 into the fourth. Maria Keeley drives to the paint and finds Jackie Grisdale for the corner 3. Fairfield leads 51-50, but then the Stags take over. Lauren Beach on the break gets the layup. She makes it 59-52. And Fairfield continues to score. It's Sydney Scott with the big 3. They lead 62-52. Katie Lamoureux dropped 30 points as the Fairfield Stags took over the top spot in the MAAC, handing the Bobcats their first loss in conference play this season.
With that win for Fairfield, they have now extended their win streak to 5 games and have tied Quinnipiac atop the MAAC standings, both with a 16-1 record. However, Quinnipiac still controls the number 1 seed because they have beaten the third-place team Merrimack twice, while Fairfield has only beaten them once. Connecticut rival Sacred Heart sits at 4th place with a 10-6 record, and Siena rounds out the top 5 sitting at 9-8. Iona, the last team currently in the playoff picture, with a 9-8 record.
To start their final week of conference play, the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team hosted the Brown in a huge ECAC matchup.
It's Quinnipiac's turn to host Brown after losing in Providence earlier this season, and it's senior day. so Tessa Hulk and Emerson Jarvis warming up on the ice before the game. Early in the first, Taylor Bruschi with a stick check forces the turnover, and on the breakaway, she pockets it to make it 1-0 Bobcats. A couple minutes later, Ainsley Datavio from the top of the slot, she fires it home off the bar to make it 2-0 Bobcats. Later, Jarvis finds Datavio again in the slot, goes for a backhand on the back door to make it 3-0 Quinnipiac in the first period. But Brown will respond with one of their own as Lions to Aginla on a cross-crease pass to make it 3-1 going into the second period. In the second period, Brown still with some good offense. This one from the top of the slot, batted home by Lions in the blue crease to make it 3-2, and it's a close hockey game. Now, later in that second period, Kaylin LaMarche with the deke, but stick checked away by the goaltender. We'll head to the third period, 3-2. Then the left side of the circle, Zoe Ewens goes bar down to make it a 4-2 game for the Bobcats. That would pretty much ice it, but then who else but Kaylin LaMarche? She gets the empty netter to go. It's a 5-2 victory for the Bobcats. To continue their senior day festivities, Tatum Blacker got some time in between the pipes toward the end of the game, recording 2 saves in the win, a nice gesture from the team.
Well, it always is great to see the assistant captain getting some playing time, but that didn't matter as the women's hockey team looked to finish their regular season strong with a win in the Battle of Whitney Avenue. About halfway through the first period, there's going to be some commotion in front of the Bobcats net, and Gracie Gilkison takes a shot, and the Bulldogs strike first as that one sneaks over Felicia Frank's blocker, and just like that, it's going to be 1-0 Yale. About a minute later, Stephanie Stanton takes a shot from the face-off circle, and it goes past Frank. Bulldogs up 2-0 now. Now into the second period, we're over halfway through. Ainsley Datavio takes a shot. It's going to rebound. Peyton Cormier is going to collect and get the Bobcats on the board. The score is 2-1 Yale, but the Bobcats' momentum is starting to build. Heading over to the third now, the Bobcats might be down 3-1, but with less than a minute left, Kaylin LaMarche gets the Cats within 1 again. It's going to be 3-2 with less than a minute. 30 to go now. Bobcats in the face-off circle. They're going to have to get one here, and they are. It's going to go out to Ainsley Datavio at the blue line, and the defender ties the game in the dying seconds, and we're going to be heading to overtime. And in overtime, we're just about 2 minutes in when Kaylin LaMarche is going to get the puck on a breakaway. There she goes into the zone. She's going to get it by Fry for the Bobcats win, and the heartbreaker Selly on Valentine's Day at the bank. There's no better way to end it. Bobcats win in overtime 4-3. Even with the overtime loss, Yale clinches the first seed in the ECAC playoffs, and Quinnipiac clinches third. The Bobcats will have a bye week hosting a playoff series in Hamden. And after such a thrilling close to the game, Q30 Spencer Decker has Cass Turner's reactions.
That was really fun.
That was Cass Turner's initial reaction as the Bobcats bested the Bulldogs 4-3 in overtime on this Kaylin LaMarche goal that gave the Bobcats the W on home ice. Turner also praised the Bobcats' resilience to come back late in the game.
For our group, that was the way you want to define yourself playing at the end of the season. Like, the heart that our team had to score 2 6-on-5 goals and win in overtime is pretty unreal. Like, it's a group that is really connected, and I like where we are as we go into a new season.
Kaylin LaMarche wasn't expecting to be the hero, but she sure was happy that she was.
Honestly, I don't think I was really thinking of, like, being the hero, but, I mean, it's always in your mind, like, when you're, like, put on first round 3. So I think it was just, in the moment of a breakaway, I really wanted to score that goal because who doesn't want to be the hero?
Emerson Jarvis had a very brief but happy response regarding how she trusts Kaylin LaMarche in scoring opportunities.
I was thinking she's got this. I'm not worried.
Even with the win over Yale, the Bobcats will finish third in the ECAC standings. Despite that, Bobcats star forward Kaylin LaMarche thinks they're the best of the best.
Yeah, we know we're the best team in the ECAC. Like, obviously that hurts, but we're going to take this hurt that, we didn't get the trophy. We thought it was ours for a second, but, just how much it hurts even more that we were just that close to doing it. Like, we got together at the end in the dressing room, and we're going for an ECAC championship, like, tournament run, and we're going to get a ring on our fingers, and we're not going to stop until we get there.
Coach Turner will now get her Bobcat squad ready for the ECAC hockey quarterfinals, which take place on February 27th at M&T Bank Arena. Quinnipiac will face the second highest remaining seed from the first round, which is currently the Colgate Raiders. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Spencer Decker.
After this weekend's games, Quinnipiac is locked into the 3 seed and will receive a bye in the ECAC playoffs. In the first round, of the ECAC playoffs. Yale, Cornell, and Princeton will also receive byes in the quarterfinals. The Bobcats will take on the second highest remaining seed after the first round, which will take place this weekend.
With the regular season coming to an end, let's see what the latest MPI rankings have in store. Sitting on top of the world is Wisconsin. Following them at 2 is Ohio State with a 28-4 record. Rounding out the top 5 is Minnesota, Penn State, and Northeastern. With no movement on the top 2 Connecticut schools, coming in at 6 and 7 with the Yukon Huskies and Quinnipiac Bobcats are sitting at 8 is the Yale Bulldogs, who moved up 1 spot following a weekend that they split against the Bobcats and the Tigers. Speaking of the Tigers, they dropped 1 spot to 9, and Minnesota Duluth rounds out the top 10. Well, I mean, Nick, that's been a lot of hockey news.
Well, for all the hockey fans everywhere, we aren't done. As when Sports Paws returns, we will take a look at the men's ice hockey's home-and-home weekend series against the Princeton Tigers as the end of conference play begins to near.
Plus, the men's basketball team took on the Siena Saints and hosted the Merrimack Warriors in the top 3 MAAC matchup. Don't go anywhere, because Sports Paws will be right back after this commercial break.
Guys! We had to make a commercial for #that right now. What do we do?
How long do we have? We only had 2 months to do this.
We could explain that it's a pop culture news show that covers everything from movies, music, and video games.
Yeah, and we can also talk about how there's pre-recorded segments that vary from reviews to in-depth discussions.
We should also mention that it broadcasts live every Monday at 7 p.m. on q30tv.com/watch.
I think that covers everything. Did you guys get that down?
Meet the scan. A simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
As a dad, every day is a challenge. To make sure that the time that I spend with them, it doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to try to teach them. When they learn something new, and you can just see in their faces, it's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
Gracie and Pedro might not get along so well.
You're standing on my tail.
But there's one thing they agree on. There's a right seat for everyone.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
Whether you're a dog,
Hold on, Pooch.
a cat, a fish, or a rat.
And I'm a ferret.
Be sure to travel safe.
How can you be so sure?
I'm absolutely positive.
On your next adventure, make sure your children are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right seat.
Welcome back into Studio 125. The Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team hosted the Princeton Tigers in the first half of a home-and-home weekend series. Quinnipiac looking for its 13th straight victory over the Tigers in this one. Just minutes in on the power play, it's going to be Ethan Wittenbach dancing around the circle. He'll find Aaron Schwartz in the slot, and he roofs it over the shoulder of Arthur Smith. 1-0 Bobcats. Now it's Princeton's turn on the power play, trying to tie this game up, and a quick shot from Tyler Rubin finds David Jacobs in front, all tied up now, heading in to the second period. And in that second period, quickly, Braden Blaze finds Elliot Gronwald all alone in front for the tap-in goal. Blaze now has 7 points in his last 3 games. Looking for even more as Marcellus finds Cerbone all alone, but he's denied by Arthur Smith. What a desperation stop by Smith heading into the final frame. After a turnover, it's who else but Ethan Wittenbach. Backhand, forehand, score. What a move, what a goal. 3-1 Bobcats. Now it's going to be Elliot Gromwald on a stretch pass to Antonin Verreau, and he's going to show off the silky mitts. Another great goal from a first year. 4-1 Quinnipiac. Princeton looking to chip away at this one, but Marinov will make a great save with the pad. 4-1 is going to be your final score in Hamden. Ethan Wittenbach with 2 points now, just 11 points away from Colin Graff's single-season point record. Both Braden Blaze and Elliot Gromwald had 2 points in the win.
And Q30's Ava Heaton has the story on the ins and outs of the Bobcats win.
On Saturday, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team defeated the Princeton Tigers by a score of 4-1 in the first game of a home-and-home series.
It was a good win tonight. I thought we battled hard. I think Princeton's really good this year. Benny's done a nice job with that. It's obviously fun for me to look across and see him doing well, and see Henny and Connor over there too, 2 of our former players doing great. But they gave us a lot tonight. But I like our response. We played well. We played hard, and you got to be heavy if you're going to beat Princeton. So we did a lot of good things tonight.
After Princeton tied the game at 1, Quinnipiac scored 3 unanswered goals in the final 40 minutes to secure the win.
I didn't think our first was great, and you got to give Princeton credit. They came out hard, but I thought we had a good response in the second and third. I just thought we managed the puck a little bit better and played a little bit harder.
Despite multiple players being absent from the lineup, the defensive pairing of Braden Blaise and Elliot Gronwald has shined for the Bobcats. They are top 2 in the nation in plus-minus since Christmas. Gronwald with a +27 and Blaise with a +22.
Yeah, he's been great. He's having a great season. Really happy with his defensive play, his stick. Like he's kind of popped this year for us, so he's been good. Elliot's he's one of the better D in our league and one of the better ones in the nation. So I think he's. Certainly we want to get Letty back, but that's been one of the bright spots is that we moved Blaser up there with them, and they've done well together.
The Bobcats will now head to Princeton on Sunday to take on the Tigers once again at 4 p.m. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Ava Heaton.
The team then took a trip to Princeton, New Jersey following the 4-1 win the previous day to take on the Tigers in an ECAC rematch. Quinnipiac's Matthew McGorty got the scoring started 3 minutes into the game, and not too long after that, David Ma got Princeton on the board, but it was all Bobcats after that, as they would score 3 straight goals coming from Antonin Varro, Alex Power, and Ethan Windenbach. Power picked up his first goal of the year, propelling the Bobcats to a 4-1 win in Princeton, New Jersey.
After Quinnipiac swept its weekend series over Princeton, they now take a commanding lead of first place in the ECAC hockey standings. With 44 points and a 15-2-1 record, the Bobcats now sit 6 points ahead of Cornell and Dartmouth, who are second and third in the standings. Cornell has a 12-5-1 record, while Dartmouth sits at 11-5-2. Harvard in at fourth place, sitting at 10-7-1, and Princeton rounds at the top 5 with a 10-8-0 record. With the playoffs fast approaching, the top 4 teams will get a first-round bye en route to the ECAC championship in Lake Placid. After the Bobcats clinched a first-round bye in the ECAC playoffs, let's take a look at where they sit in the latest NPI rankings. The Bobcats have moved up to the number 6 spot after being ranked number 9 last week. Michigan State remains at the number 1 spot, then their rival Michigan State's put at number 2. North Dakota, Western Michigan, and Penn State also remain where they were last week. ECAC foe Dartmouth moves down 4 spots, and Cornell moves down 2 spots. Quinnipiac will host Cornell this weekend in a huge ECAC matchup.
Among all the men's ice hockey news, one Bobcat stood out this week. First-year phenom Ethan Windenbach won ECAC Rookie of the Week for the 5th time this year. Windenbach takes home the award after a 4-point weekend against Princeton Tigers, scoring 2 goals and also picking up 2 apples, adding to his season total that now sits at 51 points with 21 goals and 30 assists, closing in on the Quinnipiac Division I point record set by Colin Graff. Now, switching over to the court, the Bobcats took a trip to Loudoun View, New York, to take on the Siena Saints, where it was a back-and-forth game, with the score being 34-27 at halftime, but it would be mostly Quinnipiac in the second half, as they would go on to win with a final score of 74-62. Mario Monroe led the way with 21 points, and Spence Weiwei made his mark known on the glass, racking up 18 rebounds to go along with his 1 block and 4 points on the day.
Looking to keep their 4-game win streak alive, the Bobcats hosted the Merrimack Warriors. Quinnipiac men's hoops back at home after beating Siena on the road Friday night. They get the first place Merrimack Warriors. Kavera Kennedy scored second in points per game in the conference, averaging 17.7 points per game. Slow start for both sides, 21-21 at half. Jaden Zimmerman knocks down the only Bobcats made 3 on the afternoon. Now it's going to be Grant Randall, and he's going to put his defender on a poster. 29-21, Quinnipiac. Now Amari Monroe looking to get on the score sheet as he draws the contact and somehow gets this one to go. 31-23, Quinnipiac, they're on a 10-2 run. So Merrimack's head coach Joe Gallo's got to regain the Warriors' composure, get his team to go on a run of their own, and they will. It's going to be a Kavera Kennedy takeover. He hits this jumper here, then down low on the defensive end. He'll get some help with the block. Ernest Shenton will walk it down the court, and then Kennedy makes the layup after that. 35-31, Quinnipiac still in the lead. Ernest Shelton again, 3-ball here. He had 12 points on the afternoon. And then it's Casey Ukakazi. He was dominant in this one. Watch him slam this one home. Warriors up 3, 40-37 Merrimack. It's going to be Shelton again. He's going to ice this one jumper, 48-43 Merrimack. And so the Bobcats couldn't quite close the gap. They lose their 6th conference game of the season, 56-49. Kennedy gives the Bobcats 24. Next up is Fairfield at home on Sunday.
With only 2 weeks remaining in MAAC play, let's take a look at the men's basketball standings. Now, sitting at top of the MAAC is the Merrimack Warriors, as they have taken over the conference in only 2 years of being in it. Following them is St. Peter's Peacocks with a 12-4 conference record, and following right behind them is St. Peter's, and St. Peter's is the Siena Saints with 11-5 conference record. The Quinnipiac Bobcats dropped to 4 after following the Merrimack on their home court. Rounding out the top 8 is Marist, Fairfield, Mount St. Mary's, and Manhattan.
Anthony, I know Puxatawny Phil predicted 6 more weeks of winter, but I'm ready for spring. Will there be any updates?
Well, fortunately for you, Nick, there will be, because when Sports Paws comes back, we will be hearing from baseball and softball beat reporters on how their teams open up their seasons this past weekend, with the baseball team taking a trip to South Virginia and the softball team heading west to Las Vegas.
And we'll also have the top 5 plays of the week coming up, so make sure to stay tuned because you won't want to miss it. Sports Paws, we'll be right back.
Owen, when you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
We didn't know what the future would hold, but we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
Buckle up! Nobody is more prepared for an emergency than Dogman.
With all your kung fu skills and your canine fortitude or whatnot.
But for the rest of us, a good plan goes a long way.
Come on, let's go!
So, whether it's an unexpected disaster or the world's most evilest cat bent on destroying all do-gooders,
Destroy all do-gooders!
you can help your family be ready for anything.
No time to waste. Will you get out of here?
Get started today at ready.gov/kids.
Life's daily battles are not meant to be fought alone.
We're not powerless, so long as we don't lose sight of what's important.
Don't be afraid to seize that moment to talk to your friends.
Cloud, you okay?
Because checking in on a friend can create a safe space.
The first step on our new journey. You coming?
Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Seize the awkward. It's totally worth it.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. On February 13th, the MAAC announced that the upcoming men's and women's indoor track and field championships will be live streamed on ESPN Plus for the first time in league history. This is now the 22nd consecutive year that the indoor track and field championships will be held in the Nike Track and Field Center at the Armory in New York. This is the first time that it will be broadcasted live.
The women's track and field team then took a trip down Whitney Avenue to participate in the Geek and Gak Invitational. There was a couple of stellar performances in this one. Claire O'Sullivan in the 500-meter race ran a minute 16, which topped everyone in the MAAC. Talia Graham also continued her strong winter, matching her indoor program record with a 3.8 meters in the pole vault. Zoe Merriman clocked a 2.14 in the 800 meters, sliding her 7th all time.
Naisha Daly made MAAC history, becoming the first woman in the league history to crack the 7.4-second barrier in the 60-meter dash. She finished with a final time of 7.39 seconds to win the event and remain undefeated in the indoor season. They look to secure a MAAC championship win in their next meeting, February 21st to the 22nd. Hey Nick, did we get any baseball or softball news yet?
You know, Anthony, we did. Baseball and softball beat reporters Freddie Martin and Benjamin Winicki have more as both teams open up their season this past weekend.
Thanks, guys. While baseball isn't quite ready here in Hamden, the baseball team traveled down to Virginia this past weekend to open their season against Old Dominion. Quinnipiac dropped their first game of the season to Old Dominion by a final score of 15-5. Despite Quinnipiac trailing early, the Bobcats scored 3 in the third to take the lead, but Old Dominion's overpowering offense was too much, powered by a 4-run fourth inning and a 6-run fifth. Quinnipiac played a relatively clean game, only recording 2 errors in the loss, but the pitching struggled. Nick Balcom gets the loss, 3 1/3 innings pitched, 6 earned runs on 7 hits. The final in Game 2 was the same as Game 1. The Bobcats lose yet again 15-5 this time in 7 innings via the mercy rule. The Bobcats' only lead came in the top of the first. Christian Smith had himself a day, 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Sam Wright gets the loss, 3 innings, 6 earned on 8 hits. The Bobcats salvaged the final game of the series in extras, however, winning by a final score of 6-5. 5 different Bobcats had 2 or more hits, and Matt Alduino gets the win. The Bobcat bullpen combined for 6 2/3 scoreless innings, and Kyle Garabowski eventually had the game-winning sac fly in the 10th. The Bobcats are back in action this weekend when they head down to Jacksonville to take on North Florida in a 3-game series.
While baseball was in Virginia this past weekend, Quinnipiac softball traveled to Las Vegas to participate in the UNLV tournament. The Bobcats lost 4 out of 5 games, all by the way of mercy rule. While it wasn't the result the Bobcats wanted, there were some standouts on the weekend. Natalia Apatiga led the team in RBIs with 5 over the weekend. while Allie Hochstetter had a 3-for-3 game with 2 RBIs on Saturday's win against UC Davis, leading to a 571 on-base percentage on the weekend. Shannon Kendall also had an impressive game on Saturday against UC Davis, pitching a complete game, only allowing 3 earned runs, and throwing 109 pitches. It was a question going into the season on who was going to replace production that Sydney Horan and Jackie Gonzalez had, but it appears that Kendall will pick up the slack as she pitched in all 5 games on the weekend, giving up 17 extra base hits in 16 1/3 innings. The Bobcats will be back in action this weekend when they travel to Virginia to compete in the Norfolk State and Hampton tournament. That's all the time we have here at the baseball and softball fields. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Quinnipiac men's lacrosse team hosted UMass in a Friday matinee matchup. UMass would take the game 16-8. Cole Marsala led the way offensively for the Bobcats, posting 2 goals along with 3 assists. Justin Robert also added a goal and 2 assists. First-year faceoff man Sean McCaffrey won 11 of 19 battles from the X. Goalie Mason Oak made 12 saves in the eventual loss. Quinnipiac falls to 1-1 on the season. The Bobcats will be back in action on February 17th versus St. John's.
The Quinnipiac women's lacrosse team hosted the Hofstra Pride in their season and home opener, and the Bobcats would get out to an early lead, being up 5-3 at the end of the first half. But that wouldn't stand as Hofstra would mount a comeback as they scored 6 in the third and never looked back after that, walking out of Hamden with a 12-7 victory, moving the Pride up to 2-1 on the year. With a key contribution from Kaylee Bender, posting 4 goals and 2 assists on the day, and Quinnipiac will start 0-1.
The Quinnipiac men's tennis team took on Boston University in a Valentine's Day matchup. The Terriers would take the match 5-2. The team of Carlos Broncimo and Alessandra Siaka won their 3rd doubles match of the season. Broncimo and Shanad Nirati each notched singles wins for the Bobcats. Quinnipiac stays home to host a Friday morning matchup against Illinois State University on February 20th.
The men's tennis team is not the only tennis news of the day, as Willow Renton takes home MAAC Player of the Week after defeating UConn 2-1 sets, winning sets 1 and 3. But Willow Renton is not the only women's tennis player winning an award this week, as Emily Meng wins MAAC Rookie of the Week, as she wins her double set 7-5 over the Huskies. Renton, Meng, and the Bobcats will return to the court with an upcoming matchup against the Army.
Well, let's move to the links and take a look at the preseason coaches poll for MAAC Women's Golf. Quinnipiac in at number 1 for a 2nd straight year and received 8 first-place votes. The 2025 runner-up UAlbany was voted in at 2nd and received 1 first-place vote, followed by 2 Connecticut rivals, Fairfield and Sacred Heart, in at 3 and 4. Merrimack rounds out the top 5. The Bobcats look to go for back-to-back MAAC championships, 5th this decade and 7th all time. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have here tonight for Sports Paws.
Whoa, hold on, Nick. I just got word that it's time for the top 5 plays of the week.
All right, then. Let's get right into it. Play number 5, big-time matchup at the bank. Ella O'Donnell shakes and bakes, scores on her defender. Quinnipiac would drop that game for its first MAAC loss of the season.
Play 4 on the track, senior Nyaja Daly, the fastest woman in the MAAC, gets even faster. First woman ever to cross the 7.4-second threshold within the MAAC, and she would win the event down in New Haven.
Play number 3, back on the hardwood, Amari Monroe finds the cutting Grant Randall, and he puts the defender on a poster. Take a look at that replay. Quinnipiac would go on to lose that game to top seed Merrimack.
Play 2 on the ice, Matthew Lansing to Ethan Winbach, backhand toe drag from the first year back into the back of the net. A masterful move that we have to see again. The nation's leading point scorer extends his point total to 51 after the weekend.
Play number 1, you had a feeling this was going to be here. Kayla LaMarche, overtime winner against Yale. Heartbreaker Selly. Listen to the bank erupt after that one. 4-3 overtime win for the Cats, holding on to the number 3 seed into the playoffs. And Anthony, staying on the topic of hockey, the men's ice hockey team hosts Cornell in a big-time matchup this season. Any goal scorer predictions?
I'm going to have to go with Ethan Wittenbach and Charlie Major, Bruins draft prospects.
Well, I'm going to have to go with Marcus Vidicek, still searching for that 30th point.
Agree to disagree, but that's all the time we have for Sports Paws here tonight. Nick.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram and X at Q30 Sports, and check out our website at Q30TV.com. Thank you to all the producers and everyone working hard behind the scenes. For Anthony Davila, I'm Nick Olsen. Have a fabulous night, Bobcats.